Welcome back to another trade video. With the season-long trade deadlines in that rear view, it is time to shift this series to a dynasty outlook. In this video, we will talk about trades for contenders and trades for teams looking to retool for the future. Let's get right into it. So let's start off with the contenders. Now, I can easily mention to trade for aging players and just call it a day here. That's very basic information I think we all know. You should trade for Marquise Brown. Here are a few recent trades for a swap with Brown. So trade for Brown, they gave up a 2024 second, Gabriel Davis and David Njoku, a 2024 second and a 2024 fourth, Javonte Williams, and then a final trade was Jerry Jeudy and Jameson Williams. So kind of looking at those, I would not necessarily trade Javonte Williams for Brown, but the other trades show how relatively easy it is to trade for Brown. So he is not necessarily aging, as he will be turning 27 in June. The uncertainty of his future, it looms as he's looking for a new contract following this 2023 season. So when we look at that, there's potential for him to sign to a new team who will utilize his skill set, or maybe he re-signs with Arizona, right? Either way, I feel like this would naturally raise his value, and you are now buying low on a player. He gets a 2-3 year contract extension. People are going to be a little bit more comfortable with him. But we look at Brown right now, he is dealing with a heel injury. He had that going into week 12. I think he sat Thursday and Friday practices, but he came off a week 12 game where he had 12 targets and I think he had 6 receptions. When we look at his playoff schedule, Arizona's, they have a favorable matchups against wide receivers. They play San Francisco in week 15, Chicago in week 16, and then Philadelphia in week 17. This playoff stretch is good enough for the third best for wide receivers. We know Kyler Murray is back, and he has also thrown at least 30 times in all 3 games. This low value on Brown paired with the immediate and future, 2-3 years down the line, that outlook, it's all the reason to buy as a contender. Another trade option here is Tyler Lockett. Now we kind of go back to that aging asset, but I wanted to start off there with Brown. Looking at Lockett here, there's a few recent trades with a swap for Lockett. So someone traded Josh Palmer and a 2024 third, a 2024 fifth rounder, and then 85 fab money, Jonathan Mingo, and then a 2025 second. So obviously we can see Lockett is cheaper than Brown, but we all know that's due to that aging factor. Looking at Lockett, he is currently 31 years old, turning 32 in September, this for 2024. Looking at right now, he is averaging 7.2 targets per game. DK Metcalf and rookie Jackson Smith-Njigba, they are also consistently involved in this offense. Just however, Lockett, you can argue he is the wide receiver 1 for Seattle. Lockett, he does not have that longevity in Dynasty, but that immediate success is what makes him intriguing for contenders. We see above how it is relatively cheap to acquire Lockett and be confident you have a plug-in guy for your fantasy playoffs. Looking at that for Seattle, week 15, they play Philadelphia. Week 16, they play Tennessee. Week 17 is against Pittsburgh. This playoff stretch is the best matchup for wide receivers. Get Lockett on your team. If you are in need of tight end help, I would like to acquire David Njoku. So looking at recent trades with Njoku, people have traded Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. So I am assuming a contender, they're giving up this youth, that Packers duo, to get that right now asset in Njoku. Good trade for both parties here. Looking at another one, Kendre Miller and a 2025 third round pick. Now a contender may have gotten a steal here, while the other party may believe in Miller, and his future outlook over there with New Orleans. Another trade, Michael Mayer and a 2025 third round pick. Similar reasoning here with Musgrave trade. Contender gets the right now piece in Njoku, retooling for the future. They get Mayer and then a dart throw in 2025. It is also not like Njoku is that old for a tight end. He will be turning 28 years old next season. When we look at the situation in Cleveland, with Deshaun Watson under center, Njoku, he averaged just above 5 targets per game. Now, with Watson out, with the backups at quarterback, he is seeing almost 9. I think it was 8.6 targets per game. We see that bump in targets for the tight end here. This is a good win now piece as Watson, he's on IR. The tight end help with Njoku here, and that not so expensive price. It's just a win-win for all parties involved. Go ahead and get Njoku on your team. If you are not a contender, you should be looking to get young and somewhat proven assets on your team, and or draft capital. A good way to ensure this to happen is to trade those right now productive players, what we talked kind of about above, to the contending teams. You do not want to necessarily target young players, just because. We need to ensure they have flashed their potential. And they just don't have this coveted draft capital first, second round. Maybe someone like Jonathan Mingo comes to mind. I would look to target Josh Downs. So here's a recent trade, one-to-one swap with Downs was David Njoku. So a contender could get Njoku that right now production, especially at a tight end position. The retool for the future, they get Josh Downs, an intriguing rookie. Now let's look at Downs in a package. So someone traded for Saquon Barkley, right? What they did was they gave up Downs, a 2025 first and second round pick. This one is a great way to get a top running back to a contender to help them try and win. And then it's a great way for that person retooling for the future. They get a nice young proven rookie and then some additional draft capital in the first and second round in 2025. Another package, someone wanted DJ Moore. So they gave up Downs, a 2024 second and third round pick. So this one, I still would kind of lean more here. However, you can understand the idea that was happening here where you package, that older player and get that, younger player and some draft capital. Contenders likely understand Downs has a bright future. Contenders also likely understand Downs will not help them win now. Opposed to how with Terry McLaurin, maybe a Mike Evans, they would help them win now. This is a perfect situation to help both teams out. If you can trade for Downs and you get, even additional draft capital, preferably first, second round picks, you give up that aging, but right now production asset, this is a great way to ensure future success. All you need to do is hit on those draft picks, as we know Downs is good at football. Go ahead and get Downs for your retooling teams. Another young, somewhat proven player I would like to target is Rashee Rice. So here are some trades involving Rice. Rice for Jake Ferguson. Obviously, maybe a tight end needy team. I'm assuming they get that. And then you retool for Rice. A Rice for Ferguson. It seems like a good move. Another thing, someone traded for Rice. They gave up Jerome Ford and Jaylen Warren. Obviously a contender. They may have needed the running back help. Similar with Downs here. Contenders, they likely know Rice is good at football. Just winning that championship is what we are trying to do here. Rice, he has been super efficient. He just has been playing much. If you are able to retool and get Rice on your team, while giving up a Jake Ferguson, or Jerome Ford, Jaylen Warren type package here, this may help you set up for future success. Now, I kind of want to end on this. I would like to nominate trading for a running back. However, this is just not an optimal time right now. We're about to hit December at this point in Dynasty. One injury, it can set back that asset and your future outlook, especially if you're giving up draft capital or, someone like Terry McLaurin, who's only 28 years old. So if you remember with the previous Njoku trade, if you can trade a tight end away and acquire a proven tight end, someone like Michael Mayer or Luke Musgrave, and maybe get some additional draft capital, that is a great move to consider if you want to ship away a tight end, an aging tight end. Obviously Travis Kelce, he's one of them. Mark Andrews, he's not that old. These guys aren't that old, but if you can get, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, who's really giving up Sam Laporta or Trey McBride, especially if they're right now production players. But I think you get the idea there. Those are some moves to consider. Thank you for watching today's trade video. As you can remember, we shifted from those redraft trades. The trade deadline is in the past. We are now shifting here to Dynasty with these trades for contenders and retoolers. Go ahead and get some of these players on your team. Pull the nuggets of information involved in here. Maybe go get a player that you believe in and you like, as long as they're proven they have flashed that potential. We'll catch you next week for another Dynasty trade video.